Once upon a time,
What about tomorrow morning?
a lucky kid like you got the Scholastic Video Collection. A collection of videos based on award-winning picture books by the most beloved authors.
Oh, boy!
These stories are filled with adventure, action, mystery, learning, and lots of fun. Get the stories kids love. The Scholastic Video Collection, available now at stores everywhere. So, what are you waiting for?
Chrysanthemum. The day she was born was the happiest day in her parents' lives. "She's perfect," said her mother. "Absolutely," said her father. And she was. She was absolutely perfect. "Her name must be everything she is," said her mother. "Her name must be absolutely perfect," said her father. And it was. Chrysanthemum. Her parents named her Chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum grew and grew and grew. And when she was old enough to appreciate it, Chrysanthemum loved her name.
I love my name.
She loved the way it sounded when her mother woke her up. Chrysanthemum. She loved the way it sounded when her father called her for dinner. Chrysanthemum. And she loved the way it sounded when she whispered it to herself in the bathroom mirror.
Chrysanthemum.
Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum loved the way her name looked when it was written with ink on an envelope. She loved the way it looked when it was written with icing on her birthday cake. And she loved the way it looked when she wrote it herself with her fat orange crayon. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum thought her name was absolutely perfect. And then she started school. On the first day, Chrysanthemum wore her sunniest dress and her brightest smile. She ran all the way.
Hooray!
Said Chrysanthemum.
School!
But when Mrs. Chudd took roll call, Dawn, Eve, Lois, Al, Les, Kay, Max, Sue, Bill, Pat, Tom, Sam, Ken, Joe, Rita, Victoria, Chrysanthemum. Everyone giggled upon hearing Chrysanthemum's name.
It's so long,
Said Joe.
it scarcely fits on your name tag.
Said Rita, pointing.
I'm named after my grandmother.
Said Victoria.
You're named after a flower.
Chrysanthemum wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. The rest of the day was not much better. During nap time, Victoria raised her hand and informed Mrs. Chudd that Chrysanthemum's name was spelled with 13 letters.
That's exactly half as many letters as there are in the entire alphabet.
Victoria explained. "Thank you for sharing that with us, Victoria," said Mrs. Chudd. "Now put your head down." had a name like yours, I'd change it, Victoria said as the students lined up to go home.
I wish I could,
thought Chrysanthemum miserably. Welcome home, said her mother. Welcome home, said her father.
School is no place for me,
said Chrysanthemum.
My name is too long. It scarcely fits on my name tag, and I'm named after a flower.
Oh, Pish, said her mother, your name is beautiful. And precious and priceless and fascinating and winsome, said her father. It's everything you are, said her mother. Absolutely perfect, said her father. Chrysanthemum felt much better after her favorite dinner, macaroni and cheese with ketchup, and an evening filled with hugs and kisses and parcheesi. That night, Chrysanthemum dreamed that her name was Jane. It was an extremely pleasant dream. The next morning, Chrysanthemum wore her most comfortable jumper. She walked to school as slowly as she could. She dragged her feet in the dirt. Chrysanthemum, 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 she wrote. She even looks like a flower, said Victoria as Chrysanthemum entered the playground. Let's pick her, said Rita, pointing.
Let's smell her,
said Joe. Chrysanthemum wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. The rest of the day was not much better. During nap time, Victoria raised her hand and said,
a chrysanthemum is a flower. It lives in a garden with worms and other dirty things.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Victoria, said Mrs. Chudd. Now put your head down. I just cannot believe your name, Victoria said as the students lined up to go home. Neither can I, thought Chrysanthemum miserably. Welcome home, said her mother. Welcome home, said her father.
School is no place for me,
said Chrysanthemum.
They said I even look like a flower. They pretended to pick me and smell me.
Oh, Pish, said her mother. They're just jealous. And envious and begrudging and discontented and jaundiced, said her father. Who wouldn't be jealous of a name like yours, said her mother. After all, it's absolutely perfect, said her father. Chrysanthemum felt a trifle better after her favorite dessert chocolate cake with buttercream frosting, and another evening filled with hugs and kisses and parcheesi. That night, Chrysanthemum dreamed that she really was a chrysanthemum. She sprouted leaves and petals. Victoria picked her and plucked the leaves and petals one by one until there was nothing left but a scrawny stem. It was the worst nightmare of Chrysanthemum's life. Chrysanthemum wore her outfit with 7 pockets the next morning. She loaded the pockets with her most prized possessions and her good luck charms. Chrysanthemum took the longest route possible to school. She stopped and stared at each and every flower. Chrysanthemum, 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 the flowers seemed to say. That morning, the students were introduced to Mrs. Twinkle, the music teacher. Her voice was like something out of a dream, as was everything else about her. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. The students were speechless. They thought Mrs. Twinkle was an indescribable wonder. They went out of their way to make a nice impression. Mrs. Twinkle led the students in scales. Music is my life. Then she assigned roles for the class musicale. Victoria was chosen as the dainty fairy queen. Rita was chosen as the spiffy butterfly princess. Jo was chosen as the all-important pixie messenger. And Chrysanthemum was chosen as a daisy.
Chrysanthemum's a daisy, chrysanthemum's a daisy.
Jo, Rita, and Victoria chanted, thinking it was wildly funny. Chrysanthemum wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. What's so humorous? Asked Mrs. Twinkle.
Chrysanthemum
Was the answer,
Her name is so long.
said Jo.
It scarcely fits on her name tag.
Said Rita, pointing.
I'm named after my grandmother, said Victoria. She's named after a flower.
My name is long, said Mrs. Twinkle.
It is?
Said Jo. My name would scarcely fit on a name tag, said Mrs. Twinkle.
It would.
Said Rita, pointing. And, said Mrs. Twinkle, I'm named after a flower, too.
You are?
Said Victoria. Yes, said Mrs. Twinkle. My name is Delphinium. Delphinium Twinkle. And if my baby is a girl, I'm considering Chrysanthemum as a name. I think it's absolutely perfect. Chrysanthemum could scarcely believe her ears. She blushed. She beamed. She bloomed. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. Jo, Rita, and Victoria looked at Chrysanthemum longingly.
Call me Marigold.
Said Jo.
I'm Carnation,
Said Rita, pointing.
My name is Lily of the Valley.
Said Victoria. Chrysanthemum did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She knew it. Epilogue. Overall, the class musicale was a huge success. Chrysanthemum was absolutely perfect as a daisy. Victoria made the only mistake. She completely forgot her lines as the dainty fairy queen. Chrysanthemum thought it was wildly funny, and she giggled throughout the entire dance of the flowers. Eventually, Mrs. Twinkle gave birth to a healthy baby girl. And of course, she named her Chrysanthemum.
Owen by Kevin Henkes. Owen had a fuzzy yellow blanket. He'd had it since he was a baby. He loved it with all his heart. "Fuzzy goes where I go," said Owen. And Fuzzy did. Upstairs, downstairs, in between, inside, outside, upside down. "Fuzzy likes what I like," said Owen. And Fuzzy did. Orange juice, grape juice, chocolate milk, ice cream, peanut butter, applesauce cake. Fuzzy's messy. "Isn't he getting a little old to be carrying that thing around?" asked Mrs. Tweezers. "Haven't you heard of the blanket fairy?" Owen's parents hadn't. Mrs. Tweezers filled them in. That night, Owen's parents told Owen to put Fuzzy under his pillow. In the morning, Fuzzy would be gone, but the blanket fairy would leave an absolutely wonderful, positively perfect, especially terrific big boy gift in its place. Fuzzy inside his pajama pants and went to sleep. "No blanket fairy," said Owen in the morning. "No kidding," said Owen's mother. "No wonder," said Owen's father. "Fuzzy's dirty," said Owen's mother. "Fuzzy's torn and ratty," said Owen's father. "No," said Owen. "Fuzzy is perfect." And Fuzzy was. Fuzzy played Captain Plunger with Owen. "To the rescue!" Fuzzy helped Owen become invisible. "Bet you can't see me." And Fuzzy was essential when it came to nail clippings and haircuts and trips to the dentist. "Can't be a baby forever," said Mrs. Tweezers. "Haven't you heard of the vinegar trick?" Owen's parents hadn't. Mrs. Tweezers filled them in. When Owen wasn't looking, his father dipped Owen's favorite corner of Fuzzy into a jar of vinegar. Owen sniffed it and smelled it and sniffed it. He picked a new favorite corner. Then he rubbed the smelly corner all around his sandbox. buried it in the garden and dug it up again. "Good as new," said Owen. Fuzzy wasn't very fuzzy anymore, but Owen didn't mind. He carried it and wore it and dragged it. He sucked it and hugged it and twisted it. "What are we going to do?" asked Owen's mother. "School is starting soon," said Owen's father. "Can't bring a blanket to school," said Mrs. Tweezers. "Haven't you heard of saying no?" Owen's parents hadn't. Mrs. Tweezers filled them in. "I have to bring Fuzzy to school," said Owen. "No," said Owen's mother. "No," said Owen's father. Owen buried his face in Fuzzy. He started to cry and would not stop. "Don't worry," said Owen's mother. "It'll be all right," said Owen's father. And then, suddenly, Owen's mother said, "I have an idea." It was an absolutely wonderful, positively perfect, especially terrific idea. First she snipped, and then she sewed. Then she snipped again and sewed some more. Snip, snip, snip. Sew, sew, sew. Dry your eyes. Wipe your nose. Hooray, hooray, hooray! Now, Owen carries one of his not-so-fuzzy handkerchiefs with him wherever he goes. And Mrs. Tweezers doesn't say a thing.
A Weekend with Wendell by Kevin Henkes. On Friday afternoon, Wendell's parents dropped him off at Sophie's house. "Wendell's going to spend the weekend with us," said Sophie's mother, "while his parents visit relatives out of town." "Oh, boy," said Wendell. Sophie didn't say anything. After a snack, Sophie helped Wendell carry his sleeping bag and suitcase upstairs.
"Well, what are we going to do now?"
asked Wendell.
"Do you have any toys?"
Sophie pointed to her toy chest.
"Is that all you've got?"
said Wendell.
"I've got 1,000,000 times more than that. What else is there to do around here?"
We could play house, said Sophie.
Only if I can make the rules,
Said Wendell. So they played house, and Wendell made the rules. He was the father, the mother, and the 5 children. Sophie was the dog. Then they played hospital. Wendell was the doctor, the nurse, and the patient. Sophie was the desk clerk. When they pretended they worked in a bakery, Wendell was the baker, and Sophie was a sweet roll.
isn't this fun?
Said Wendell. Sophie didn't say anything. At dinner, Wendell said that he was allergic to anything green, so he didn't have to eat his vegetables. And then, when Sophie wasn't looking, he scooped the whipped cream off her dessert. When is Wendell leaving? Whispered Sophie. Soon, said her mother. Soon, said her father. After Sophie's parents tucked Sophie in her bed, zipped Wendell in his sleeping bag, kissed them both, and turned off the light, Wendell grabbed his flashlight and shone it right in Sophie's eyes.
See you tomorrow!
He said, smiling. Sophie shut her eyes. I can't wait for Wendell to go home, she said to herself. On Saturday morning, when Sophie woke up, there was a lumpy blue monster jumping up and down on her bed. It was Wendell. She felt something pinch her leg at breakfast. It was Wendell. She heard scary noises coming from the broom closet. It was Wendell. Wendell used Sophie's crayons and left them on the porch, so they melted. At lunch, Wendell finger painted with his peanut butter and jelly.
Isn't this fun?
Said Wendell. Sophie didn't say anything. When is Wendell leaving? Whispered Sophie. Soon, said her mother. Soon, said her father. At bedtime, when Sophie put her head on her pillow, she heard something crunch. It was a note from Wendell. It said,
See you tomorrow!
Sophie shut her eyes. I can't wait for Wendell to go home, she said to herself. Before Wendell's parents picked him up on Sunday morning, he tried to make a long-distance call.
Operator.
Is this the North Pole?
He wrote his name on the bathroom mirror with toothpaste. and he gave Sophie a new hairdo with shaving cream. Want to go outside to help me wash this off? Asked Sophie. We could play firefighter.
Oh, boy!
Said Wendell. So they played firefighter, and Sophie made the rules. She was the fire chief. Wendell was the burning building.
Isn't this fun?
Said Sophie. Wendell didn't say anything.
Do I get to be the fire chief?
Asked Wendell. Maybe, said Sophie. Soon Wendell and Sophie didn't care who was the fire chief or who was the burning building. Time to go, said Sophie's mother. Time to go, said Sophie's father.
Already?
Said Wendell. Already? Said Sophie. When is Wendell coming back? Asked Sophie. Never, said her mother. Never, said her father. That afternoon, when Wendell unpacked his suitcase, he heard something crunch.
Oh, boy!
It was a note from Sophie. It said, I hope I see you soon.